until the break or until the end session where we'll have a panel Q&A. Obviously, if there's anything really pressing that you need to ask partway through a presentation, then please put your hand up and someone will deliver a microphone to you so that you can actually ask the question. The reason we're mic'd up is really more for the recording side of things rather than for the sound for you guys to hear us. During the break, there will be hot and cold drinks out in the foyer, and obviously there are toilets out in the foyer as well for you. Okay, so my name's Jason Lawrence. I'm the Managing Director of Heatweb Solutions. Heatweb has been running for a year now, just over a year. So this is really to celebrate our first year of Heatweb Solutions. This is our second seminar. We did one a couple of months into the business starting. So this is the second seminar really to tell you all about what we've been doing over the last year and what we're planning on doing in the next year or so. Our mission continues. We've got a handy little mission statement, which obviously the acronym is HEAT, which is quite useful. But we're looking at a holistic approach to energy efficiency, to heat networks and district heating systems. We want to educate people. We want to educate young and old, people in the industry and people who might be looking to come into the industry. Anyone we can educate is another goal for us towards the net zero that we're aiming for. We want to have accountability in what we're doing, accountability through data, basically. Let's not stand there and say, well, the theory says this, the theory says that. Let's look at the data. Let's look at the realistic readings that are coming out of systems. Let's make that the thing we're using for accountability. And then lastly, it's transparency. We want to have an open source system. We don't want to be hiding things from people. We don't want to hold people to ransom. We want to make sure that we've got an open source system that people can then buy into themselves and start actually to develop themselves if they wish to, or they can develop it in partnership with us. So it's all about this transparency. You'll see from the graphic there that we've got an iceberg being towed along by the Ofgem boat. We're strongly of the opinion that Ofgem and the HNTAS regulations that we're going to be seeing coming through in the next year or two, it's all fantastic, it's really good, but it is an iceberg. We've got this small amount of information that we can all see above the water, and then beneath the water we've got this huge amount of work to do and huge amount of issues that need to be dealt with. So Ofgem have certainly got a lot of work on their plate to get that working nicely, and I can't see it happening too soon, but it's at least they're starting the process. So the journey so far. In 2023 we announced that we'd started working on the first CO2 heat pump in a district heat network. That's up and running. That's giving us really nice feedback. We also launched our comprehensive open source energy efficiency monitoring solution to the industry. And again, that's up and running. That's running very nicely, and we're going to be telling you a little bit more about that today. In the last year since we started Heatweb, we've increased our service engineer team from 3 engineers. We're now working with Thames Flame, who've joined us today, and we've got over 25 qualified engineers at our fingertips, really, to help out and to do service engineering work that we need to do. We're able to cover everything from the small individual domestic properties right the way up to plant rooms and the full domestic and commercial installation stuff. So thanks to Thames Flame for coming along today, and yeah, we hope that the future's bright with them guys. We've also unleashed the power of the BMS data analysis in the open source solutions. So we've been looking at how we can use BMS data to really give us everything we need in our monitoring systems. The BMS is there, it's already extracting a huge amount of information from the buildings, so let's use that data, let's not ignore it. So we've worked out ways of using that data and getting that process relatively slick so we can use the BMS data in our systems. We've worked on the energy efficiency of more than 15 heat networks, 2 of which were citywide networks as well. So There's some pretty big stuff going on. We've been doing HNES reports and studies for various different projects. And on the citywide stuff, that was actually a HNES study for Bring Energy. Yeah, it was a huge study for us, a really nice job to get our teeth into. And again, we'll tell you a little bit more about that in a bit. We've expanded our HIU service and maintenance side of the business. We're also now able to cover MVHR units and heat pump service and maintenance. So, you know, not every property is the same. Some are fitted with HIUs, some have got MVHRs, some have got heat pumps. So why not try and you know, put our skills to all of them? So again, you know, we've got the guys from Thames Flame who are helping to add that expertise into the business with us. Finally, we've also increased our team. We started off this last September with myself and Richard. We're now up to 9 people. So we've got a nice team. People who are really conscious about the business, really conscious about the industry, and you know, people who want to make a difference. So that's really nice to have. As you can see there, we're probably going to need a bigger boat at some stage. We've just moved into new offices. We're expanding so quickly, we're actually starting to think, when are we going to have to move into even bigger offices? So it's a good thing. But yeah, we're trying to sort of fight against all the inefficiencies in the systems. Fight against greenwashing, you know, people saying that they've got these wonderful green credentials when actually they haven't. Fight against people cutting corners, the short-term solutions, that sort of thing, and ultimately against the damage that we're doing to the environment. So this is our kind of little emojis. We've got the team here. You can see we've got everything from engineers on the ground. We've got BMS engineers. We've got a young lady in the office who does a lot of our legal representation for us, all of our contracts and that side of things. We've got obviously the finance people as well, guys in logistics, and of course can't not mention my 2 dogs that. They're our kind of morale boosters. So we've got my 2 dogs, and we've got the Harry, the finance girl's little dog as well. So that's the team, and we're building on that as much as we possibly can. I would say guess which one's me, but I think you can probably tell from that which one's me. Thanks, Richard. Okay, so our services. We're offering detailed feasibility studies. You know, people come along and say, is this possible? Well, we'll have a look at it, and we'll work on that and let them know whether it is or whether it isn't. Things like Oxford Brookes University, for instance, they say, can we use heat batteries? Can we use the SunAmp system that's storing heat in phase change materials? Well, we've looked at that with them. We've done a study on it for them, and sure enough, yes, that is possible. And there's ways in which you need to integrate that into the systems to work, but our studies show that that is possible. We're also doing site acceptance testing. Now, this is something that's becoming more and more important in the industry. People over the years have been building these massive sites. They put all of this equipment in. They're told by 10, 15 different suppliers that all of the equipment works, but these suppliers aren't necessarily talking to each other. They're not making sure that component A works properly with component B and component C. So what you need to do really is to double check that it's all working. When the site's complete and you're actually looking to hand over the site and get residents moving into the properties, is the system working correctly? Is it efficient? Is it doing everything it needs to do? Does it comply with the regulations? So we're looking at that. We've set up a semi-automated system where we can fill in a bunch of commissioning information on an app. We can then use that app as the basis for a report at the end of the day, and we can report back to our clients that yes, the site is compliant, no, it's not compliant, and you need to do some extra work on there. There's not many we find that are good. There's a few, but there's also quite a few that we find that aren't so good. So there's a lot to do there, and of course it means that if you've got one of the big energy providers who's looking to adopt a system, then of course they want to make sure that what they're adopting is right. So, you know, it's got to be correctly tested in the first place. We're doing design and fault-finding work on HIUs, heat networks and substations. So our background is really in the design and manufacture of HIUs and thermal stores. We've also done a fair amount of substation work as well, some fairly big substations, a couple of megawatts. A lot of our work and understanding in the control of heat interface units, the little small box that goes on a wall, we've been able to roll out into substations. So designing substations and working with manufacturers across Europe to deliver them substations is something that we're able to do. We've also done a lot of 3D scanning and CAD design work, 3D CAD work. So, for instance, there's a lot of plant rooms out there that have absolutely no documentation. There's very little in the way of documentation, or actually the as-installed documentation is incorrect. So what we would go and do is we'd go in and we'd do a 3D scan of the plant room, and from that we can then redesign the plant room, put it into our CAD system and actually work on it to make sure that it's operating in the correct manner. Of course, once we've done that, we can then go in and actually make the changes as well. So it's a full turnkey solution in that sense. Energy efficiency monitoring, cloud services. This is a big part of what we want to talk to you about today. Monitoring of systems, we believe, is the way forward. Cloud services, obviously having it available to you, wherever you're working. You don't want to have to go to site to find out how a system's working. You want to be able to see it on the cloud from anywhere in the country or the world. So we're offering a substantial system there, and we're able to monitor anything from the thermal side of the plant room right the way through to the electrical side as well. BMS strategy and integration. Mike has recently joined us and is a BMS expert, and we're now able to look into the BMS strategy in some detail and actually understand what it's doing, why it's doing what it's doing, and is it correct? And again, we'll be going into that in a little bit more detail later, but working with the BMS is really important for us. I mentioned earlier the HNES application support and that side of things. So we've got a number of customers who really haven't got the time, haven't got the expertise to fill in the HNES applications. They're quite a onerous sort of spreadsheet, full of detail that you've got to put in there. So we offer support to our customers for filling that in. We also offer training on HIUs, training on substations, and training on all of the monitoring side of what we're doing. And we're also looking at, for the future, we already have various versions up and running, HNTAS compliance dashboards. So when HNTAS is released in the coming months or years, we've got dashboards at the moment that will give a very quick visual idea as to whether or not the system is compliant or not. So it's handy to have, even if it's the only monitoring you have, then that's going to be something that's really, really useful. This is a list of some of our customers. Most of them speak for themselves, to be quite honest. There's a few there that we're really working hard with at the moment, and lots of these guys are pushing for much more efficient systems, and we're happy to be helping there. So what's next for Heatweb? What's next for us as a company? Well, we're looking to broaden our horizons. We're looking to add to our team. We're looking at more BMS engineers, more electricians, people that can actually be feet on the ground for us, people that we can train up to do it how we need them to do it, and people that are open to the new technology and the monitoring that we're putting in place. So there's a lot of work there for us to do. So we're looking at perhaps using apprenticeships for that side of things, trying to support the community, that side of thing as well. So there's a lot of work to do in the next year over that part of the business. We've also got a number of big projects that we're working on, some in England, some in Scotland, and we're hoping again to be able to roll out our monitoring systems and get more people monitoring, and then start to look at this information as a bigger industry and understand what's going on in these systems. And then, of course, we've got the exciting new regulations that are coming in, or exciting for some, shall we say. So HNTAS and other bits and pieces that are coming through in the next couple of years, we're gearing up for that, and we're trying to get ourselves in a position to really support the customer on that side of things. In terms of deploying the BMS to solve these issues, I mean, you can see there by some of the graphics that we're showing, you know, we've got properties where they've got the radiators on, and then they've got the air conditioning on, they've got the fans running, you know, it's boiling hot outside. How are these systems possibly running? Well, we're finding that it's a lot of the BMS strategy that's causing these systems to run incorrectly. So we're looking at that, we're looking at deploying more BMS integration to work all of that out. We've got our own tools, which we refer to as the BEMS, the Building Energy Efficiency Monitoring Systems. We use our own tools to monitor systems where there isn't a BMS, and we're able to install them and check on some of the more basic stuff, I suppose. And we're looking to enable optimization through the return on investment. So we're not asking people to outlay tens or hundreds of thousands of pounds on monitoring systems with no kind of promise of a return on that side of things. What we're doing is we're looking at the low-hanging fruit. We're trying to find the really simple stuff that can save a couple of £1,000 a year, or £10,000 a year, maybe more. That saving then, you know, it's cost virtually nothing to make that saving, and then use them savings to then invest further in your monitoring systems. That way you're not asking your boss for more money. You're not asking people to invest more in the system. You're basically saying, okay, let's put a small amount into it, let's make the savings, let's prove them savings are coming through. And then that is enough to then persuade other people to put a bit more money into it and carry on making them savings. I mentioned the HNTAS compliance side of things. This is one of the dashboards that we've been using on a particular site. And we're simplifying it. We're trying to make it as simple as we can. Obviously, the full information hasn't been released on the HNTAS as yet, but this is coming out of an awful lot of experience that we've got on what should be part of HNTAS and what we can be looking at. And you'll see there we've used like a traffic light system. You know, if it's red, it's bad. If it's green, it's good. So it's really visually, straight away, you're able to see what the situation with the system is. And then you can concentrate on them areas of the system. Finally, we are looking at the optimization academy. We're looking at actually how does the industry move forward? How do we get optimization engineers involved? How do we get monitoring companies involved and all working together and pulling in the same direction? You know, there are industry bodies that are looking at gas boilers. There are industry bodies that are looking at heat networks, but actually there's nothing to look at optimization. There's no one out there saying, okay, well, you've got companies A, B, C, and D all doing optimization, but they're all doing it differently. They're all doing it to different rules, different templates, different, you know, the whole process is not being standardized at all across the industry. So we're looking at proposing an optimization academy so that we can actually start to get together with other people in the optimization industry and start to develop standard sets of rules, standard sets of procedures that we can work with. So that's something that's going to come in the future, and hopefully over the next year we'll be working on that a fair amount. Okay, that's me done.